Emily was 9 years old. That spring, her mother married a man named Jeff. On the wedding day, Emily wore a white dress and held a small bouquet. People applauded, and her mother looked happy. Emily smiled too. But the smile wasn't real. Emily was a quiet child. She didn't talk much at school and didn't have many friends. She just liked to read books alone or draw pictures. Her father had left when Emily was 5. To be precise, her mother had made him leave. She couldn't bear a father who drank and yelled anymore. After that, Emily and her mother lived alone. Her mother worked at a restaurant. She left early in the morning and came home late at night. Emily ate breakfast alone and went to school alone. After school, she went to the library or sat on a bench in the park near her house to pass the time. The wait for her mother to return was long, but Emily was used to it. Loneliness was not an unfamiliar feeling to her. Jeff had been a regular customer at her mother's restaurant. He came in wearing a suit, ordered politely, and spoke to her mother with a smile. After meeting Jeff, her mother's expression brightened. She came home and smiled while looking at her phone, and spent more time putting on makeup in front of the mirror. Emily found this unfamiliar, but she thought it was good that her mother seemed happy. After the wedding, Jeff moved into the house. He had a lot of luggage, 2 large bags and several boxes piled up in the living room. Jeff looked at Emily and said, "Let's get along well, Emily." Emily nodded, but she didn't say anything. The first few days were fine. At dinner, Jeff asked Emily about school, and her mother joined the conversation with a smile. The dining table was noisier than before. Emily found the noise uncomfortable but endured it. Her mother seemed happy, after all. But the moment the door closed, the air changed. Jeff opened Emily's bedroom door without knocking. "Keep your door open at all times. You don't need secrets." Emily couldn't answer. Her mother was washing dishes in the kitchen. Jeff also showed interest in the clothes Emily wore. "That skirt seems too short. Isn't that t-shirt too loose?" Emily lowered her head and went back to her closet. Her mother said Jeff was showing interest. "He's your stepfather, so he's just being concerned." Emily tried to believe those words. But some gazes couldn't be explained. When Jeff passed Emily in the hallway, his eyes were strange. He stared too long and stood too close. Emily shrank back. She instinctively felt danger, but couldn't explain what it was in words. Every evening, Jeff sat on the living room sofa and watched TV. When Emily passed by, he gestured for her to come. "Come sit and watch together." Emily sat at the end of the sofa. Jeff gradually sat closer. Emily couldn't breathe. She got up with the excuse of going to the bathroom, and returned to her room, closing the door. But Jeff opened it again. "I told you not to close the door." Emily couldn't say anything. Her mother was excited about having a new family. She went out with Jeff and watched movies together on weekends. Emily mostly didn't go along. When her mother said, "Come with us," she replied, "I have homework." Her mother was disappointed but didn't force her to come. Emily spent more and more time alone. She entered her room, left the door open, read books, and cried silently. She couldn't concentrate at school either. Sometimes she couldn't answer when the teacher called her name. Her friends whispered that Emily had become even stranger. One night, Emily was lying in bed. The house was quiet. Her mother was working overtime, and Jeff was in the living room. Emily pulled the blanket up to her chin. She heard footsteps. They passed through the hallway and stopped in front of Emily's room. The door was open. Jeff stood in the doorway. "Are you asleep?" Emily closed her eyes. She made her breathing as even as possible. Jeff stood there for a long time. Then he slowly closed the door and left. Only then did Emily open her eyes. Her heart was beating wildly. Her hands trembled and her lips were dry. Emily whispered softly under the blanket. "This isn't right. This isn't normal." But who could she tell? Would her mother believe her? Emily felt like she was the only one with a secret. A heavy secret, fear she couldn't speak of, and a world that was getting smaller and smaller. As time passed, Jeff's behavior became increasingly intrusive. At first it was looks. Then it was words. And now it was contact. Jeff tapped Emily's shoulder. "Good job." He stroked her hair. "Our Emily is pretty." Emily moved away, but Jeff naturally came closer. He did it even in front of her mother. Her mother smiled and said, "Jeff must really like you." Emily didn't respond. One evening, Emily was taking a shower. She had locked the door, but she heard the doorknob turning. Someone was trying to open the door. "Emily, do you need a towel?" It was Jeff's voice. "No. Open the door. I'll give you a towel." "I'm fine." There was silence for a moment. Then the footsteps moved away. Only then did Emily breathe again. The sound of water rang in her ears, but Emily couldn't hear anything. Her mind was blank. When she came out after the shower, there was a towel in front of the door. It was a new towel. Emily's whole body froze as she looked at it. A few days later, Emily decided to tell her mother. She couldn't endure it anymore. It was a Saturday afternoon when she was alone with her mother. Jeff was out. Emily sat on the living room sofa. Her mother was folding laundry. Emily bit her lip. She didn't know telling would be this difficult. "Mom." "Yes?" "I need to talk." Her mother stopped and looked at Emily. "What is it?" Emily clenched her hands. Her voice trembled. "Jeff is strange." "Strange?" "He comes too close to me. And his looks are strange too." Her mother's expression hardened. "What are you saying, Emily?" "Jeff keeps coming into my room. He tells me to leave the door open. And when I shower, he stands outside the door." Her mother was silent for a moment. Then she shook her head. "Emily, you saw it wrong." "Mom, it's true. Jeff isn't that kind of person. He's trying to be good to you, so why are you taking it this way?" Emily was at a loss for words. Her mother started folding laundry again. "I know it's hard to adapt to a stepfather. But Jeff is a good person. Don't misunderstand." "Mom, stop it, Emily. Don't say things like this anymore." Her mother's voice was firm. Emily closed her mouth. It felt like her chest was collapsing. Her mother didn't believe her. No, she didn't want to believe. It was a reality she couldn't accept even if it was true. That night, Jeff came home. Emily didn't come out of her room. She skipped dinner and buried herself under the blanket. She heard her mother and Jeff's voices in the hallway. "Emily said something strange today." "What?" "That you act strangely toward her." There was silence for a moment. "I see." Emily seems to still be unable to adapt. "Maybe my concern was burdensome. I'm sorry, Jeff. Emily is a sensitive child. It's okay. I'll approach slowly." The voice was gentle, but Emily knew Jeff was lying, and her mother wanted to believe that lie. From the next day, Jeff's behavior became more cunning. He was kinder and more careful in front of her mother. But when her mother wasn't there, it was different. Jeff looked at Emily and smiled. There was a warning in that smile. "Whatever you say, no one will believe you." Emily fell into deeper loneliness. A world where no one believed her even when she spoke. A house with nowhere to escape. Emily became quieter at school too. Friends no longer spoke to her. And teachers began to see Emily as a problem child. One day, Emily was reading a book in the library. It was a book about child psychology. The book had this sentence: "When a child asks for help, if an adult doesn't believe them, the child becomes silent." Emily read that sentence over and over. Tears flowed. But Emily didn't give up. She held onto a faint hope that someday someone would believe her. Someday this secret would end. That night, Emily took out a small notebook. And she began to write along with the date. May 3, 2023. Jeff came into my room. He told me not to close the door. May 7, 2023. He stood outside the door when I was showering. May 10, 2023. I told Mom, but she didn't believe me. Emily hid the notebook deep under her desk. This was evidence. Evidence she would need someday. Emily whispered softly, "I'm not lying. I will survive." Jeff's behavior began to leave more traces. Words that came out unconsciously. Chilling actions. Moments that couldn't be erased even if she tried. Emily recorded it all. The notebook grew thicker. Dates, times, situations. Emily wrote down everything without missing anything. But the notebook alone wasn't enough. Emily found her mother's old recorder. It was a small cassette recorder. Emily hid it behind the closet. One evening, Jeff came into Emily's room. Her mother was working overtime. Jeff came in and sat next to Emily's bed. "How was school today?" Emily didn't answer. "Say something. I'm concerned too." "It was fine." "Emily, why are you so cold to me?" Emily turned her head. Jeff sighed. "I know you told your mother that I act strangely toward you." Emily stopped breathing. "Don't say things like that. It makes your mother sad. I'm trying to be good to you. Why do you make me like this?" Jeff's voice was gentle, but there was a threat in it. Emily gripped the blanket tightly. Jeff got up and left the room. But he didn't close the door completely. The door was half open. Emily went to the closet. She took out the recorder and pressed play. Jeff's voice could be heard faintly. "Why do you make me like this?" Emily hid the recorder again. This was evidence. At school, Emily was gradually breaking down. She stared blankly out the window during class and didn't talk with friends. Her grades also dropped. Her homeroom teacher called Emily and said, "Emily, is something wrong lately?" "No, your grades have dropped a lot. And you don't look well." Emily lowered her head. "Is something wrong at home?" Emily didn't answer. The teacher sighed. "If you want to talk, you can tell me anytime. Okay?" Emily nodded, but she didn't say anything. A few days later, the school counselor called Emily. Her name was Ms. Kim. She was a woman in her 40s with a gentle voice. Emily entered the counseling room. "Sit down, Emily." Emily sat in the chair. "I heard from your homeroom teacher. Is something difficult happening lately?" "No." Ms. Kim looked at Emily quietly. "You're lying, aren't you?" Emily looked up. Ms. Kim didn't smile. She just waited quietly. "You don't have to talk. But I know you're having a hard time. And that you're enduring it alone." Tears welled up in Emily's eyes. "Whenever you want to talk, tell me. I will believe you." At those words, Emily lowered her head. Tears dripped down, but she couldn't say anything. Ms. Kim handed her a tissue. "It's okay. Think about it slowly." Emily wiped her tears with the tissue. Then she left the counseling room. On the way home, Emily sat on a park bench. The sun was setting. Emily took out her notebook from her bag. And she wrote today's date. June 2, 2023. "The counselor said she believes me." Emily smiled slightly. It seemed like hope was visible. But the moment she entered the house, the air was different. Jeff was sitting in the living room. Her mother was in the kitchen, and Jeff looked at Emily. "You're late. I went to the library." "Really? What did you do?" "I read books." Jeff nodded, but his eyes were full of suspicion. That night, Emily was reading her notebook in her room. The door opened. It was Jeff. "What are you doing?" Emily quickly pushed the notebook under the desk. "Homework." Jeff looked around the room. Then he approached slowly. Emily tensed her body. "Emily, you've been strange lately. Are you hiding something?" "No." Jeff looked at Emily's desk. He tried to open the drawer. Emily quickly said, "I'll call Mom." Jeff stopped his hand. Then he smiled. "I'm joking. Why are you so tense?" Jeff left the room. Only then did Emily breathe. Her heart was beating wildly. Emily took out the notebook from under the desk. And she hid it deeper. Now Jeff was suspicious. Emily had to be more careful. A few days later, Ms. Kim called Emily to the counseling room again. "Emily, how are you today?" "I'm okay. What about at home?" Emily hesitated for a moment. Then she said softly, "Ms. Kim, what if someone does bad things to me, but no one believes me?" Ms. Kim's expression hardened. "Who is it? Just what if?" Ms. Kim pulled up a chair and sat next to Emily. "Emily, can you tell me?" Emily shook her head. "Not yet. I can't." "Why?" "I'm scared." Ms. Kim held Emily's hand. "I will protect you. I promise." Emily held back tears and nodded slightly. "Please wait a little." Ms. Kim nodded, but in her eyes was the conviction that something is there. That night, Emily hid the notebook and recorder deep in her bag. Then she lay in bed and looked at the ceiling. Jeff was controlling Emily more tightly. Emily was pushed to the edge of explosion. "Just a little more. Let's endure just a little more." Emily whispered softly. A clue of hope was visible. Ms. Kim seemed like she would believe her. But Jeff was becoming more dangerous. Emily didn't know how to overcome this crisis. But one thing was certain. She could no longer remain silent. Emily couldn't wait any longer. The crisis from Chapter 3 had pushed her to her limit. Jeff's suspicion was growing, and Emily couldn't sleep every night. But Ms. Kim's words kept circling in her mind. "I will protect you." One Monday morning, Emily made her decision. She put the notebook and recorder in her bag. Her hands trembled, but she couldn't stop. As soon as she arrived at school, she headed to the counseling room. Ms. Kim was looking at documents at her desk. When Emily knocked on the door, she looked up. "Emily? It's early." "Ms. Kim, I'll tell you. Ms. Kim put down the documents. And she pulled up a chair. Sit down. Tell me slowly. Emily took out the notebook from her bag. And the recorder too. Ms. Kim's expression hardened as she saw them. What is this? Evidence. Emily opened the notebook. Records written with dates. Jeff's actions, words, looks. Everything was written down without missing anything. Ms. Kim slowly read the notebook. Her face gradually hardened. Emily. This is my stepfather, Jeff. Emily's voice trembled, but it was firm. Ms. Kim picked up the recorder. What about this? Jeff's voice. I recorded it. Ms. Kim pressed the play button. A faint but clear voice could be heard. Why do you make me like this? Ms. Kim put down the recorder. And she held Emily's hand. You did well, Emily. You really did well. Only then did Emily shed tears. Everything she had been holding back poured out at once. Ms. Kim hugged Emily. It's okay now. I'll help you. Ms. Kim immediately reported to the principal. And she contacted the Child Protection Agency. Emily waited in the counseling room. About 2 hours later, an investigator arrived. She was a young woman with a serious expression. Are you Emily? Yes. My name is Park Ji-yeon. I came to help you. The investigator sat next to Emily. And she checked the notebook and recorder. Did you record this yourself? Yes. You were brave. It must not have been easy. Emily nodded. We'll investigate now. And you'll go to a safe place. What about Mom? The investigator hesitated for a moment. We'll contact your mother too. But your safety comes first right now. Emily was anxious, but she nodded. That afternoon, the investigator visited Emily's home. Her mother had left work early, and Jeff was at home too. The investigator sat in the living room and spoke calmly. We received a report about Emily. Her mother's face turned white. A report? Yes. It's a suspected case of child abuse in the home. Jeff answered calmly. I think there's some misunderstanding. We're taking good care of Emily. The investigator took out documents from her bag. There's content that Emily recorded herself. And recordings too. Jeff's expression hardened. Her mother looked at the investigator. Recordings? What? The investigator took out the recorder and played it. Jeff's voice flowed out. Why do you make me like this? Her mother covered her mouth with her hand. Jeff couldn't say anything. This is a misunderstanding. It was just a conversation. It's a strange context to call it a conversation. Emily's notebook has more records. The investigator unfolded a copy of the notebook. Dates, times, situations. Everything was written down. Her mother trembled as she looked at the notebook. Is this real? The investigator nodded. Emily wrote it herself. Her mother looked at Jeff. Jeff turned his head. Her mother's expression collapsed. The truth she couldn't accept was right before her eyes. You really? Her mother's voice trembled. Jeff didn't answer. The investigator said quietly, Mr. Jeff, you need to come with us. I didn't do anything. You need to be investigated. The police arrived. Jeff was handcuffed and left the house. Her mother collapsed on the sofa and cried. The investigator sat next to her mother. Emily is in a safe place now. I couldn't protect my daughter. It's not too late now. Emily was brave, and you have to make a choice now too. Her mother nodded. The tears wouldn't stop. A few days later, Emily was transferred to a protection facility. It was a small room, but the door had a lock. For the first time, Emily felt safe. The sun was setting outside the window. Emily sat by the window and opened her notebook. And she wrote on the last page. June 15, 2023. I spoke. And someone believed me. The investigation continued. Jeff denied it, but the evidence didn't allow lies. Eventually, Jeff was arrested and was waiting for trial. Her mother began receiving treatment amid guilt and sadness. The counselor told her mother, You didn't know, but now you know, and that's what matters. Can I see my daughter again? It will take time, but it's possible. Her mother nodded, and she began writing letters. They were letters to send to Emily. Emily received a letter at the protection facility. It was her mother's handwriting. Emily slowly read the letter. Emily, it's Mom. I'm continuing treatment. I've gotten much better. I heard you were adopted. I'm so glad. Mom wants you to be happy. Can we meet someday? Mom still loves you. I'll always support you. Emily folded the letter. Tears came, but she wasn't angry. She now knew that her mother was also a victim. Emily sat at the desk and wrote a reply. Mom, I love you too. I'm glad you're getting better. I'm happy now. My new family are good people. Let's meet someday. But let's not rush. We both need time. Always be healthy. Emily put the letter in an envelope. And she put it in the mailbox. On the way home, her new mother was preparing dinner. Emily entered the kitchen. Can I help? Yes, thank you. Emily cut vegetables. Her new mother smiled and said, Your expression has brightened lately. Really? Yes. Much more than when you first came. Emily smiled. I like being here. We're glad you came too. At the dinner table, the family sat together. Her new father said, It's the weekend tomorrow, is there anywhere you want to go? Emily thought for a moment. I want to go to the ocean. The ocean? Good. Let's go. Sujin smiled. The ocean is nice. I haven't been in a while either. The next day, the family drove to the ocean. It took about 2 hours. Emily looked out the window and smiled quietly. She could see the ocean. Waves rolled and seagulls flew. Emily took off her shoes and walked on the sand. The waves wet her feet. It was cold, but it felt good. Her new mother stood next to her. How is it? Good. Whenever things are hard, think of this place. The ocean is always here. Emily nodded. In the car on the way home, Emily looked out the window and thought. The past cannot be erased. But the past doesn't determine the future. Emily was now living a new life. A few months later, Emily talked with the school counselor. The teacher asked, How are you lately, Emily? I'm fine. I've gotten much better. Really? I'm glad. Teacher, I want to help other kids. Other kids? Kids like me. Kids who are struggling. Kids who can't speak. The teacher smiled. That's a good idea. How do you want to help? I don't know yet. But I want to do something. Then let's think about it slowly. Let's find what you can do. Emily nodded. That night, Emily wrote in her diary. The old notebook she used had been submitted as evidence. But now she had a new diary. I survived. And now I'm okay. There will be hard days ahead. But I'm not alone. There are people who believed in me, and there are people who love me. I no longer have secrets. I am free. Emily closed the diary, and she looked out the window. Stars were shining. Emily smiled slightly. Thank you, me. Her life was now becoming the beginning of new growth, not a tragedy. Emily remembered the past, but she wasn't trapped in the past. She was moving forward, slowly but surely. Years had passed. Emily had turned 16. After spending 3 years in the protection facility, she met a new family. The adoptive family was warm. The father was a quiet person, and the mother was gentle. And there was one older sister. On the first day of adoption, Emily stood in front of her new home. It was a small 2-story house. There was a tree in the yard. Her new mother opened the door and smiled. Come in, Emily. This is your home. Emily slowly went inside. The living room was warm, and family photos hung on the wall. Her new father extended his hand. Welcome. Emily took his hand. It was warm. Thank you. Her new sister came down the stairs. She was 18 and a college student. Hi, I'm Sujin. I'm Emily. Now you're our younger sister. Nice to meet you. Emily smiled. It was a real smile. The room was at the end of the 2nd floor. It was small, but the window was large. Sunlight poured in abundantly. Emily put down her bag and sat by the window. Looking outside, the tree was swaying. I'm no longer who I was in the past. Emily whispered softly. The first few weeks were cautious. Emily didn't talk much and had a habit of locking her door. Her new mother understood. Adapt slowly. It's okay. Her new father didn't force anything either. They just ate dinner together and occasionally went for walks. Sujin lent Emily books. This is interesting. Try reading it. Emily received the book, and she slowly began to open her heart. She also transferred schools. The new school was small, but the teachers were kind. Emily was still quiet, but friends began to appear one by one. They sat together at lunch and went to the library after school. One day, a letter came from her biological mother. Emily held the letter in her hand and hesitated for a long time. Then she slowly opened it. Emily, it's Mom. I'm continuing treatment. I've gotten much better. I heard you were adopted. I'm so glad. Mom wants you to be happy. Can we meet someday? Mom still loves you. I'll always support you. Emily folded the letter. Tears came, but she wasn't angry. She now knew that her mother was also a victim. Emily sat at the desk and wrote a reply. Mom, I love you too. I'm glad you're getting better. I'm happy now. My new family are good people. Let's meet someday, but let's not rush. We both need time. Always be healthy. Emily put the letter in an envelope. And she put it in the mailbox. On the way home, her new mother was preparing dinner. Emily entered the kitchen. Can I help? Yes, thank you. Emily cut vegetables. Her new mother smiled and said, Your expression has brightened lately. Really? Yes. Much more than when you first came. Emily smiled. I like being here. We're glad you came too. At the dinner table, the family sat together. Her new father said, It's the weekend tomorrow, is there anywhere you want to go? Emily thought for a moment. I want to go to the ocean. The ocean? Good. Let's go. Sujin smiled. The ocean is nice. I haven't been in a while either. The next day, the family drove to the ocean. It took about 2 hours. Emily looked out the window and smiled quietly. She could see the ocean. Waves rolled and seagulls flew. Emily took off her shoes and walked on the sand. The waves wet her feet. It was cold, but it felt good. Her new mother stood next to her. How is it? Good. Whenever things are hard, think of this place. The ocean is always here. Emily nodded. In the car on the way home, Emily looked out the window and thought. The past cannot be erased. But the past doesn't determine the future. Emily was now living a new life. A few months later, Emily talked with the school counselor. The teacher asked, How are you lately, Emily? I'm fine. I've gotten much better. Really? I'm glad. Teacher, I want to help other kids. Other kids? Kids like me. Kids who are struggling. Kids who can't speak. The teacher smiled. That's a good idea. How do you want to help? I don't know yet. But I want to do something. Then let's think about it slowly. Let's find what you can do. Emily nodded. That night, Emily wrote in her diary. The old notebook she used had been submitted as evidence. But now she had a new diary. I survived. And now I'm okay. There will be hard days ahead. But I'm not alone. There are people who believed in me, and there are people who love me. I no longer have secrets. I am free. Emily closed the diary, and she looked out the window. Stars were shining. Emily smiled slightly. Thank you, me. Her life was now becoming the beginning of new growth, not a tragedy. Emily remembered the past, but she wasn't trapped in the past. She was moving forward, slowly but surely.